What's good, YouTube? It's Adam from I'm a Music Mogul, and welcome to another remake video. Today we'll be remaking Roxanne by Arizona Zervas. This track has been stuck in my head, so we're doing the remake today. First things first is going to change our tempo to 175 beats per minute, and we're going to start off with that main guitar, electric guitar sound. Now, as I always say, when you're working guitars in MIDI, it's not going to sound quite the same as the real thing, but we're going to try our best. So we're going to go over to Legacy. We're going to go to Jam Pack Rhythm Selection, and we're going to go to Guitars, and then we're going to finally choose the 80s Electric Clean preset. And we're going to start off with that as our main sound. So let's go ahead and just close that out, and let's just draw in our pattern. It's going to go something like this. Alright, so there's our main guitar sound. Now, to make it a little bit more realistic, the strum of the guitar is not always going to be exactly on the one, as you can see right here. So we're just going to go ahead and offset some of our notes. So we're going to take our second note, offset it from the first note, and then we're going to take our third note and offset that from the first note. And you kind of get like a rhythm pattern. So it's not so static. So let's do the same thing for this one. Push this over. Same thing for this one. Now this one has 4 notes in the chord, but we're just going to do a little one on this one, a little bit on that, and a little bit on that. I'm going to push that back like that. I'm going to push that back a little bit. And we'll do the same thing for this last one right here, just to make it a little bit more realistic sounding, like the one in the track. Alright, so let's go ahead and just take out all of these plugins, and we're going to start to apply our own ones. Take this out one by one. The first thing that we're going to bring in is, let's bring in an EQ, and we're just going to filter out some of the lows. Not too much. Make it a little steeper slope. All right, and then we're going to go to our top end and cut out a lot of the highs as well, so that it's not so bright. Just kind of give that like a more of a darker sound, if you will. Next, let's go ahead and bring in an echo. So like a little bit of delay on this sound. We're going to go to delay echo, and it's going to sound something like this. We're just going to leave the default preset here. We're just going to pull up the dry value and bring down the wet. Just a little bit of a delay. Next, we're going to go ahead and soften up this sound with some chorus. We're going to go to modulation chorus. And we'll use this soft guitar summer sound. We're just going to pull up the mix 100%. And next I want to add in some movement to the sound. So we're going to go to modulation tremolo, which is off the screen, but it's going to add in some like waviness, as you can hear right there. But we're going to go to a preset called soft tremolo. Don't want it too wavy, but a little bit. All right, so there's our main sound right there. Next, let's go ahead and create a new software instrument track. And we're going to go over to our browser window, and we're going to bring in an electric piano to layer up this guitar sound. So we're going to go to Vintage Electric Piano, and we're going to go to Deluxe Modern. We're going to copy down the same MIDI pattern, but we're just going to go ahead and just layer it up here. Just kind of fills out some of those midtones. And then we're going to go ahead and duplicate, or sorry, not duplicate, group these tracks. We're going to create a new track stack, a summing track. And on this summing track over here, we're going to go over to our effects. And we're going to go over to modulation, and we're going to go to rotor cabinet. We're going to add in a little bit more movement to the sound here. We're going to bring in a preset called moving pads. Here it is right here. It's going to sound like this. Just makes it a little bit more softer sounding, a little bit more wavy. And then finally, we're going to bring in some reverb. We're going to go to Reverb Space Designer. And we're going to bring in a reverb I like to use. It's a large one, Warp Space Bombtail. Dry all the way up. Wet, we're going to bring down a little bit here, so it's not too bright. And there's our main sound that we're going to loop throughout the track. Next, let's go and create a new software instrument track. And let's go ahead and bring in an EXS24 sampler instrument. Bring in that Roxanne drum kit. Now, a lot of the sounds they'll be using in this drum kit is from the Eternal Sounds drum kit. I'll place a link in the description box below this video if you want to get more sounds like this. But we're going to go ahead and start off with the clap. So let's go ahead and bring in that clap. Put it on the 3s. Let's just lower that up here. Let's just duplicate that over. All right, let's go ahead and duplicate this track. And let's go ahead and draw in those hi-hats. It's going to be straight, I believe it's 8th note repeats. There's our hats. Oh, we're on 16 here. Let's change that to 8s. It's going to repeat that. It's going to go something like this. All right, next let's go and duplicate that track. And let's go ahead and draw in our snares. It happens at the end of this 4-bar pattern. Let's just loop up the second half here. All right, so it goes something like that. All right, next let's go duplicate that track and let's draw in our kick. So it's going to be something like this. Change this back to a pencil tool. Go down to our kick. I think it was here's right over here. Let's go. And that's pretty much the pattern. We're just going to loop that. So I'm going to open up EQ. We could give this a little bit more punch on the low end here. So we're just going to bring this to like, add a little bit more bass here. Just tighten that kick up a little bit. All right, next let's go ahead and duplicate this track, take out that EQ, and we're going to draw in our open hat. It's going to sound something like this. Just bring that down a little bit. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and duplicate this track as well. And this is going to be our effects track over here. There's a couple different effects throughout the record. First one being is like this camera sort of flash sound. That sound over there. So what I'm going to do here is just bring a little bit of reverb on the sound so that it rings out a little bit longer. We're going to go to a large space, warped, and we're going to use that bomb tail once again. I don't know why I like this preset so much. Just do something like that. All right, we're almost done that intro bit, and then we're going to create a new software instrument track this time. We're going to go over to our browser tool, and this time we're going to go ahead and bring in a bass guitar for our bass sound. We're going to use the finger style bass right over here, and let's go ahead and just draw in our pattern. It's going to be something like this. All right, so there is the sound right there. All we're going to do here is bring in some overdrive just to kind of bring this sound and fatten it up a little bit. Distortion overdrive. We're just going to pull up our tone all the way up, and we're not going to drive it too hard, just a little bit. See how that fattens that up? So bring that down a little bit. And I'm going to open up an EQ, and I'm just going to take out a little bit of the top end. I don't want too much of that high sound on the bass. Maybe you can bring up the volume now a bit. See if I stretch this out a little bit. It's a little bit better. I'm just going to shorten it up a little bit. All right, so let's arrange as we go. We're going to go ahead and duplicate all this. And then this portion over here gets cut out at the last snare here. So we're just going to go ahead and push this back like that. Ooh, something like that. All right, and then we're going to go into the next verse, or sorry, the next pattern. We're going to copy all this over, except I forgot this should not be here, the camera effects, and the camera effects should not be here as well. Here we got to add in 2 more sounds, one of which being a whistle sound. So let's go ahead and create a new software instrument track. Bring this down to the bottom here. We go over to our browser window. We're going to go over to Legacy, Jam Pack Voices. We're going to go to Soloist, and we're going to go to Whistler. Let's go ahead and draw in a region and draw in that pattern. Just 2 notes. I'm just going to open up the voice here. I'm going to just make it attack right away. Maybe I'll let it ring out a little bit longer. Let's just pitch this up. So it's like a higher whistle. All right, and then we're just gonna go ahead and add in some reverb here. Let's go ahead and go to Logic Space Designer, and we're gonna bring in that preset I like to use, Warp Space Bomb Tail, all the way dry, but the wet we're gonna bring down a little bit, make it a little bit wet actually. Maybe if I bring in this rotor cabinet as well, make it a little bit of a wavier sound. Maybe that one sounds good. No, I'm gonna take it off. Just bring down the volume. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and create a new software instrument track. And it's gonna be like this other synth pattern that is sort of playing along the chord notes over here. So let's go ahead and we're gonna bring in, this time we're gonna use Alchemy. We're gonna go over to Woodwinds, and we're gonna be using a preset called Calliope Echoes, I think that's called. Calliope Echoes, yeah. Let's go ahead and draw in that pattern. So it's gonna go something like this. All right, so let's get this sounding more like the one in the track itself. We're gonna push this woodwind sound down to a little bit of the thin and harsh sound. I'm gonna pull up the attack. I'm gonna max out this reverb here. Maybe I'm going to duplicate this over 2 octaves here. All right, I'm going to bring in EQ, and I'm going to filter out some of those. I'm going to cut out some of the top end as well. But I'm not going to do such a steep slope. And let's just lower this up. All right, so it sounds something like that. Next, let's go and just duplicate this pattern over. Do the same thing. Except this time we're going to end on the clap. And then let's go ahead and just copy over this pattern. Once again, to over here, bar 17. We're going to take out this 2 sounds. All right, then we're going to go and duplicate this over. And over here, there's actually Is this our effects track over here? Yes, it is. There's another sound that happens over here. It's sort of like a glass breaking sound. So let's go ahead and just put that in over here. See if we can find it. There it is right there. So go. It's like a glass breaking sound. And then right over here, there's going to be like a money clink sound. Maybe I can lower that a little bit. All right, so let's move on over to here. We're going to copy over our finger bass. We're going to copy over our chords. And we're going to copy over a clap. And this is sort of like the quiet section of the record. And for this, there's like this sort of beach type of sound. So we're going to go over to our loops over here. And we're going to search in beach. And we're just going to take in one and just pop it in there. Let's take that over there. Let's close that up. All right, so let's chop it up at the end here. All right, and now we're just going to go ahead and put in some fades on it. So I'm going to go over to a fade tool. I'm just going to sort of fade that in here. I'm going to fade it out as well. And I'm going to add an EQ, just take out some of the top end so it's not so bright. And there's sort of like our little breakdown. And then we're just going to go ahead and come back to this. And that will round out our arrangement for this remake. All right, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. Listen to the remake we just put together. Roxanne, Roxanne by Arizona Zervas. Let's go. All right, so that is Roxanne by Arizona Zervas right there, remade in Logic Pro 10. For you Logic users out there, I'm going to go ahead and save this entire session for you guys. Place that as a downloadable link in the description box below this video. For your non-Logic users out there, got your back as well. I'm going to go in and export all the MIDI stems, audio stems, include the drum kit that you heard in this remake. You can find all that in the playback in the description box below this video as well. That's it for me, guys. If you do have any questions on this, you can go ahead and ask me in the comment section below. If you just want to chat, we can just go ahead and talk down there as well. I will place a link to the Eternal drum kit down below as well if you want more sounds in this sort of style. And that's it, guys. I hope you all have a fantastic day. If you did like this video, remember thumbs up, share it, and of course hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next one. Later.